Hello everyone, it's Joe and I smell good. Today, I want to talk to you about the note of vetiver. One of my favorite fragrances is Cowboy Grass by Dias & Durga. I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm going to focus on one line with 3 fragrances, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, no doubt. But I'm going to try and do something different. I have been thinking about this for a while and trying to figure out how I can improve and do better in these videos and make them more useful. And I think just listing a note breakdown is not good enough. It doesn't really do much. I can give you 5 fragrances with similar notes and they're all going to smell wildly different. So I was watching one of Justin Copeland's videos. He was talking about this too, and I was like, okay, that's a good idea. So I'm going to try and paint a picture for you, give you more of the vibe of the fragrance, and that's going to be my goal here. So I want to talk about the note of vetiver as expressed by 3 different fragrances in the Encre Noire line. The first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is the original Encre Noire. It's by perfumer Nathalie Lorson. And this one, I'm going to put the notes up on the screen. I'm not going to talk about it except vetiver is the main player here. This is a great place to start. I know a lot of people like sport a little bit more, think it's a little easier, but I think as an exploration of the note of vetiver, this is a great place to start. This, to me, is like a very clean, grassy smell. It's really nice. I mean, so here's the thing. I was primed to like this before I got it. I know a lot of people are challenged by vetiver, but one of the first fragrances that I picked up that was niche was a vetiver fragrance. It was Cowboy Grass, and I really sat with that and kind of puzzled it and unraveled it until I kind of really developed a taste for the note. So for me, when I smelled this, I was like, oh wow, it's like a $20 version of Cowboy Grass. But the thing is that Cowboy Grass has a little bit more leather boots going on and dirt. This is like a very clean, grassy, dry, not a lot of sweetness to this one. This is really just the grass itself, which is great. I think this is beautiful. I think you could wear this all year round, and I think it's got a mature vibe to it. You're not going to see this on as many younger people, but I think if you wear this as a younger person, it's going to make it's going to create the impression of maturity. I know fragrances don't give you any extra special powers or anything like that, but if I smelled this on a younger person, I would probably go, well, they at least have more mature tastes, I guess. It's not super bubblegummy sweetness. It's just a dry, grassy celebration of vetiver itself. Very nice. And the fact that you can get any of these for like under 30 bucks, they're all kind of no-brainers to me. I don't even say sample because it's 20 bucks. Just go buy it. So, Encre Noire, black ink. Next up, I'm going to talk about Encre Noire Sport. Nathalie Lorson did all 3 of these, so it's the same perfumer for all of them. And I think that's a smart thing. I think it was her saying, okay, I'm gonna explore vetiver. I'm gonna do it in 3 different ways. The first way is just kind of the raw material itself, kind of give you an overload of vetiver. This one is going to, Sport, I feel like is maybe the most appropriate name, but it is not a great description of it because it's, I guess maybe because it's watery. So like that's the thing, is like this one feels wet. Like it's a wet grass with a little bit more sweetness added to it, a little bit of brightness. I think it has grapefruit in it, something like that, and it has some watery notes, and that comes across. It comes across when you look at the juice and the bottle itself. For me, this one is not as interesting as the other 2. This one is it's just kind of a little uninteresting to me. Like I know a lot of people other people like it, but to me it's not as interesting as the original. It's not as warm as a l'extrême, and so if I'm going to grab one of them, it's hard for me to figure out when I would grab this over the original or a l'extrême, because if I'm wearing it in the fall or the winter, I'll probably go with a l'extrême. If I'm in the spring or the summer, I'd probably just go with the original. That being said, this is probably the easiest entry point. So if vetiver is something that has been challenging for you, this is maybe not a bad place to start. If you are unfamiliar with vetiver, if you're looking for an easy entry, this is probably the best one to start with, though in my opinion, I think you're better off going with either of the other ones and just sitting with them until you've kind of unwrapped the fragrance yourself. So Encre Noire Sport, it's not bad, just not as good as the other 2. All right, finally, the last one, which I think is kind of a A favorite once people get into the line is Encre Noire à l'Extrême. This one takes, I feel like, goes off of the original, not sport. This one is not watery. This one is a lot more deep, rich. This is a very warm fragrance. Still has vetiver, but now it's like vetiver sitting amongst some like resins, some burned woods, some deep smoky woods. So it kind of adds, I know people describe vetiver as woody. I don't get that typically. If I'm getting a vetiver note, to me it does remind me of grass. I had a job as a landscaper for like 10 years. So for me, the grass, it just reminds me of that when I smell vetiver and I really like catch it. This one adds woods on top of that, and then it burns those woods. So it's like burning woods or burnt woods, woods that's already been burnt on top of dry grass. Again, this one is not very sweet, but it is rich, it's complex. This one, I think as you wear it, you'll kind of pick up on different things as it dries down, because it does have a bit of layering and depth to it. So if I was going to recommend one to start with, if you already have some familiarity, if you've already got some familiarity with vetiver, you don't have anything from the Encre Noire line, I would actually say start with this one. It's the most interesting out of the three. Not as versatile as the original, but I feel like you sacrifice a little bit of versatility for a better situational fragrance. This one is great for formal occasions, I feel like, especially cooler weather, stuff like that. You will have this richness that I think is very pleasant, that I think people really like. It's not going to be overpowering, it's not going to be too sweet. It's just going to be this kind of thing in the air that people catch and they smell and they go, something's rich in here. There's something expensive, feels, because it does. All three of these are crazy cheap. They all smell like $200 fragrances, honestly. I mean, even sport, sure. Even sport, they all smell like way more expensive than they are. The fact that these are all like 30 bucks or under is a crazy good deal. This line may be the best value in FragCom. Lalique also, Lalique is like a glass maker, so it's not really a niche house because they make glass, but like all of these bottles, and you don't really get it until you actually hold it, but they are fantastic. They are just really pleasant. They have a nice heft to them. They're very clean glass without a bunch of little bubbles, so you can tell it's like high quality glass too. So you get this really nice presentation with all three of them. You get this beautiful smell of vetiver with all of them, and I think, you know, since they're so cheap, I actually like the idea of getting all three of them to compare and contrast. I do that actually all the time. I'll sit down with them and I'll compare them and smell different things to try and figure out what I'm smelling different from one another. Try and pick up on different notes that maybe I haven't smelled as much before. I've been kind of working on cypress recently, and this one has a note of cypress in it. So that being said, I love vetiver. I think it's one of the most beautiful notes out there. I think it is different, even though it's in every fragrance, even though it's like in the base of basically every fragrance. When you have something that's this like dominant with it, it is different. It is going to be a distinctive fragrance that is going to catch people's attention, and I think they're going to enjoy it. It's a very pleasant smell, all of them. So I say go get some vetiver fragrances, level up your game, have some fun with it, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye. Oh man, that's nice.